morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so we're here today to talk about the healing power of dance. This is something Janine and I talk about pretty often, and we were just talking about it this week, and I was like, you know what, let's just film ourselves having a discussion about it, because it's a very interesting topic, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah, so where to start? There's so much to say about this topic. I mean, let's start, I guess, personal. Let's start with, well, first I'll say I've done dance most of my life since age 7. So I'm aware of, like, you know, the power of dance physically, mentally, spiritually. I think it's changed over time since I was younger to being an adult, the impact it's had on me. But it's been really interesting for me to share that conversation with you because you're new to the dance world.
Yeah.
So it's just been such a joy to see the impact that it's had on you and to hear from you, like what you're getting out of it as someone new to dance. It's almost like, you know, when you have children and it's like you see something new in their eyes.
Yes. Yeah, no, I totally understand that.
So it's been so joyful and interesting to have that conversation with you. So I guess to start, do you want to share like what it's done for you individually and however you want to frame that, physically, mentally, spiritually?
Absolutely. And I think it's one of the things, like kind of what you're saying, I do notice, because I've only been dancing for like 2 years, and I would say literally like a year in which I took it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that's an important part, is like, you know, you kind of have to, if you're going to just start something as an adult, you kind of have to like just be like, whatever.
Yeah.
And I do notice, like, I do have different eyes than like the other people who grew up in it, and there was pressure with the dance. I don't have that pressure. I don't expect myself to be good, if that makes sense.
True. And I was thinking about that. I'm not sure how healing it was for me as a kid, or most people, because as a kid you are so worried about what other people think of you,
right?
And you're just trying to fit in and learn the technique and do things right. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's not as much, I don't know, spiritual or emotional healing when you're younger.
Right. Yeah. No, and I was an athlete, so I kind of relate to that piece in a different way. But so when I walked into the studio, just so you know, I was terrified.
Most people are.
And I have a pretty easygoing attitude, but like, this was a hard thing for me when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I took like one dance class when I was 4, and I still remember it. Just
I wish we had a video footage of that. I would love to see that.
We may have pictures. So we'll have to figure that. But there was a certain essence that I did come into the studio because I needed something different in my healing journey.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a little bit of an intent. I didn't really realize how big of an impact it would be, but I just kind of took it as, do something new. Always doing something new helps you with different perspective, you know, but the profound, like, it's not just, you know, your mind or your emotions or that, it's like your body healing. Because you're like awakening all these different parts of yourself that, I mean, in a normal world, I don't pay attention to. And I started with belly dance, and there's some pretty, like, you know, specific movements, and I can't tell you how many times I would tell my teacher, like, I don't think I have that muscle. Like, I don't know what that is, you know? Yeah. And what was like a miraculous thing of like literally just being like, I had no clue how to access this.
Yeah. And
but you just kind of stick with it, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, oh my gosh, I feel that muscle.
Yeah.
You know,
it is so interesting, like in regular life we ignore so much of our body, like parts of our body.
So much.
That you really, unless you're doing like dance or some other physical activity where you're intentionally like, oh, this part, this muscle, you're not aware of it.
And I will say, like, because I am a very intense athlete. Because I think a lot of people out here is, well, I go and I work out at the gym, right? I run. I mean, all these kind of what I'm gonna call the normal body movements are so more specific to either like running or walking. You do that all the time. you know, might not run all the time, but you do use we walk everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, even lifting weights, even though like you're lifting, but you do lift your bags to put whatever in the car. You do those movements, where with dance, like you're not always going like, you know, like that's not in your normal day. So it's like, it's almost like, oh, hello, body.
Yes.
How are you?
How are you?
You know, yet I think there's an honesty you and I talk about, like, you do have to just be like, I'm just gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because there is like you know, the first year was a little bit of like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, you know? And I still have that feeling a lot, but I mean, the confidence, I think Angela, who's also another teacher here, who teaches ballet and jazz, and she's very particular. She's amazing, you know, background too. I think one of the most touching things after this show, we'll talk about it, was her just being like, she saw me dance for the first time after a little bit, and she's like, oh, the confidence.
Aww.
And using that word, the confidence, it was like, that made me feel like, oh, you know, we think about like doing something good, but it's not about that.
It's not.
It's about like your confidence and your self-aware and your self-love.
It is, yeah, because that translates to people watching. They can feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's just been this, again, awakening in a very different manner, because I do personally believe that like our traumas, our things are held in ourselves.
Yeah.
So I feel like, you know, we can go to therapy, we can go and do mindful work, we can do a lot of things, but I feel like there is a body piece.
Yeah.
And that was where I was.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, and I think we'll talk about that in a minute, but like, you know, it's like, I did all the things.
Yeah, there. Yeah.
You know, somewhere in here I, you know, was, you know, and I think, you know, I don't think it's ever over, but I needed a different angle of access.
Yeah. And I really believe that our words fall short a lot. Like, there aren't enough words for all of our experiences and our emotions and everything. So there's something that happens when we move our body. And like, I agree with you. I think that all of our traumas and experiences are like in our body. And it's like when you move your body in a certain way, things are expressed or like unlocked in a way that they can't be verbally, because a lot of our words can't describe exactly what we're experiencing or feeling.
And I think that reminds me of, I had an exchange student from trying to live with us for a while. And just to like put this, there was one time she was going through something and she just said, in your language, I don't have the words to express what I feel. And it was like the first time that I really looked at language as a limiting factor.
Yeah.
You know, in a real way, because she was just like, I want to tell you how I feel, but like, I don't have those words that you would understand here.
Totally.
And you know, also I think too, as much as I think we focus on the trauma, it's also the joy, like the joy that we have too.
Yeah.
That we don't have words. And
love is a very big emotion that we can't really fully describe with words, I think.
And so many different types of love.
Yes.
Where with dance, you know what kind of love is being, is it romantic?
Yeah.
Is it friendship? Is it this, you know?
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about like my personal journey.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
You know, so this past weekend, one of the reasons why we're here is I did a solo. So I literally just think about it. Like I've only like danced a few, like a few moments, and I'm like, I need a solo.
And just to interject, for anyone that doesn't know, we had a showcase this past Saturday, and it was basically a dance recital for adults, and we had a lot of people come, and we had a lot of dances, and Janine was brave enough to do a solo.
And Andrea choreographed it. Just, you know, we worked
with some of
my but again, I think you know, that's a really important piece is like one of the reasons why I wanted to do the solo was Andrea and I worked together, but you know, she choreographed most of the dance. I have a little input, but it was for me. And that's where the healing part was like, you know, she didn't have to look at the group and say, what will work with a group. This particular was like, you, what, you know, and it was kind of really fascinating how things evolved. So I picked this song, or we kind of had a few songs, and we both decided on this one song, which was really heavy, and I wasn't sure I wanted to do a heavy in the beginning. And the song in my life could have meant many different things, but it was, Andrea had like in her, she's like, I just picture you in a nightgown. Like she just had this image of me. And at that moment, I was like, oh, I know what the song, I know what part really needs to come out and heal, because I don't have words. So I had 2 miscarriages really close back to back, and one late in my, you know, really on that cusp of a stillbirth. And it was devastating. And it's been 9 years, you know, in the grief, especially in our society, there's not a lot of words.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of space. You don't know, there's a lot of just, at least from my experience, not really knowing what to do with it.
Yeah.
And this song was like, literally gave me a space to put it all in there.
Yeah. Well, because that's a kind of loss that I think is so deep and heavy that not only does society not leave a space for us to express that, but I think also it's hard to describe that kind of loss or pain in words.
And I think grief in general, and I think that's like what was like kind of interesting, what ended up transpiring with the dance was, you know, I think grief in general is like, you can't explain, you don't have the words to explain it unless someone else went through, you know, unless you know what that feels like. And I've, you know, my background, I work with a lot of people grieving. So people kind of like assume that I'm good at it.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like, no, you know, there's just different, something will hit us all really at some point in time.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, so we end up having this dance that had to do with this really heavy topic. And yeah, because it's dance, I'm telling a story in which can be interpreted.
Yeah.
And this is where the fascination part of the healing goes. So I had a hard time crying about this, and I definitely finally like my body got in touch with being like, okay, you can release even though, you know, what, because it was locked, it's locked in there. I also recognize, you know, I think that we all try to do things by ourselves, but like if Andrea hadn't said something, you know, I think there's a certain part of dance, right, where you work together.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, we can dance on our own, but when we do this kind of dance, you're generally not, or at least in my stage. Andrea might be in her own room making, but you share that with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like you're not.
And it changes. Like most of the time, like I am mainly alone when I'm choreographing or planning, but it changes most of the time as soon as I start working with you guys and seeing what works on your body, or maybe one of you, which is why I always encourage in my classes, like for the dancers to come up with their own ideas, because sometimes they have a better idea.
Right.
Like, what if we did this? Or what if, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. And then it evolves and changes.
And I think that's a really important, I don't want to tangent too much, but you just said work with your body. Again, as an adult dancer, especially, or if you probably grew up in dance, you probably had to do things that didn't work with your body.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things about this studio, or just doing things as an adult, is like, you do things like, you know, we can work on things, but we also kind of are like, well, my body just doesn't do that.
There's certain things, there's certain things that just don't work with each body.
Right.
Or do. And like, there's a way to like play to those strengths. And you're absolutely right. There are things you can get better at, but then there are just limiting factors where your body's like, nope.
Yeah. You know, I mean, you know, my mom You know, it's like, she doesn't want to get on the floor and then get up off of the floor,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And that's fine. And so there's so many, but different aspects. But that was part of why I say this was part of the solo had to do with working with my body. And I think that that's why it was so powerful, because I was working with what I had and awakening what I had. But the healing part, here's what I think, like, astounded, this is what her and I were talking about. I'm not a professional dancer, right? Like, I was proud of what I did. There was nothing, you know, that's great. But the response.
This is honestly, the response is what led to us being like, we have to film this, because it was crazy.
The response was insane. And I, like, you know, you do expect, like, your best friends and your, you know, loved ones to be like, you did so good, right? Yeah. Like, you expect that. But I did not expect, like, 1,000 views when I posted it.
Yeah.
I didn't expect so many people to say, I know what you're talking about. Or if you know, you know.
Yeah. Because you didn't tell some of these people that were deeply impacted what the solo was about, right?
No. I actually had to warn my husband, like, right before. My husband and my mom and my dad, like, I was like, just so you know, this is a heavy dance. Like, you know what's going on. But no, and then most of the wider audience, it's not an area I talk much about. Yeah. Because I didn't have words. Yeah. And I'm also really vulnerable, so I didn't want to open it up to a space where I wasn't ready to. Yeah. But I had people, even other dancer friends of mine, who said, I keep watching it over and over again. I know how that feels. Yeah. And that was like, whoa. Like, me and Ann, so you're like, I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. Like, I keep on looking at it just as my own experience of healing. But hey guys, like, we gotta really talk about this. We need other outlets, whether we're watching it or whether we're doing it.
Yeah. I think that's what, it was so surprising, because when I choreographed it for you and we were working on it here, I was just thinking about the healing aspect for you personally. Right. And I thought people, like you said, I thought your close friends would be like, great job, that's incredible. Right. You're so brave to get up there. Like, you only started learning dance 2 years ago. I expected that, but like the amount of people that texted you and called you and commented on Facebook and stuff.
People from other countries. I have some friends in other countries, but still, like, it was like, what? Yeah. You know, and that was the same thing. It's like, again, and then there was one other spot that I could actually cry, like, talking about, is the studio itself. Like, you know, we do encourage each other. You know, actually, a newer dancer who got up there, and she's in the hula hoop, you know, only been dancing a very small time. She said, she goes, it's so neat, like, you know, when you go and you see your, like, niece or your daughter or, you know, or your son, like, dance, and everyone has their cameras out, and they're just going to be so proud no matter what you do up there. She's like, this is like that, you know, like, it does, like, I'm so excited, because, like, it's exactly like everyone's just excited, you know, they're not expecting perfection, they're expecting, you know, this lifting up. So, like, that was it. But the next day, I don't know if I can use her name or not, but a woman who's a little bit older than I am gave me, like, I'm gonna cry, like, this hug. And it was like a hug of a mother, really. But she was just like, I am so proud of you. And I'm not close to her. I know her. She's in the studio.
I think we can use her name, Marlene.
All right, Marlene.
She's the best.
I
love Marlene.
But, and again, I'm gonna cry. It was like, oh my gosh, this is something I guess I needed in all of this. She was just like, I'm so proud of you. That was so, it was just this female support.
She's so supportive and loving. It's crazy.
You know, and you know it's genuine. I think that that's the piece. So it was just like, so me and Andrea are like, wait a minute, wait, over here, like, it was the amount of healing that happened way beyond.
Yeah, I don't know, and I'm really just interested and to continue this conversation past today because like you did something for yourself that was healing for you, but in doing that in front of people, it healed other people. And I'm so fascinated by that. Some of these people that reached out to you, they were really deeply moved.
They were deeply moved. Like people telling me they kept watching it. Like, you know, again, I expected someone to watch it once.
Yeah.
You know, but there was something that they were feeling. And I also want to add to that, because this was a conversation we even had before. There's also something, and special about Andrea's connection to dance and connection to people, and especially in the dance space, that I'm going to use the word intuition. I don't know what else to say, feel or what, if she hadn't shared with me like what was in her head, I don't know if I would have had the deeper healing either.
Yeah.
Do you know, like
I do agree with that, because I remember our first day together, you came in and had a different vision.
Very different vision than what ended up.
Which would have been fine, but I think that was like a cover-up for yourself to protect yourself from experiencing something deeper, like a deeper grief.
100%. And again, out loud, grieving out loud.
Yes.
And we could put that to any emotion. It's like, so I did, again, my original vision was a little bit more tough.
Yes, and I think that's an emotion you're probably more comfortable with, right? Because it's less vulnerable. If you're going to be tough and angry, I think you're a little more comfortable there. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
Just the deep sadness, that's it.
Right, that was
it.
And so, again, I go back to like, when we talk about this healing part of dance, it was like there was these layers where it involves community, it involves movement, it involves, music, it involves like
vulnerability, being okay with looking stupid and quote unquote looking stupid,
right?
Really stupid,
And then I think Andrea and I and I know it's we both I think our jaw dropped of like, oh my gosh, like people felt that, all of it.
I was amazed, really, truly.
And I don't think anybody on the other side would be like, these are all the layers I felt, like that went into it.
Yeah.
But somehow in that dance and in that movement, there was like all of those pieces were somehow translated.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was this healing piece, which then, of course, if you do know Andrea and if you do know me even a little bit, we're like, we need to do this more.
What do we need to
do?
Find something good or healing, we're like, let's do it all the time.
Well, and a lot has to do with our excitement, Andrea's excitement. You should have this experience too, And again, I think a lot of times people just see an end product.
Yeah.
And they don't see, me walking into a studio and throwing a hula hoop across the studio.
Yeah.
Or the fact that I can't really do a real turn.
Yeah. There's the messy middle. There's
the
a
messy
lot of
middle, I love it when people are like, you're so confident. I'm like, I'm scared shitless, And that was something else that, Andrea noted, like when it was one-on-one and that vulnerable. So she's like, I've never seen you this nervous before.
I know, that was a new side of you.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the messy middle is important to talk about, because if you don't know it's there, you're not gonna think you're doing it right.
Oh, absolutely. There's a huge messy middle of frustration and difficulty and trial and error, but you do get through it and I think reach something really wonderful.
And that's one thing I have learned from all you dancers, have done it for so long, is every single time we start a new dance, all like the experienced dancers will be like, look, it looks you're not getting it in the beginning.
Yeah.
But don't worry, you'll get it by the end. Like there's like this, and but even that is again like a healing journey to experience being like, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do this. And
that is like one of the biggest challenges of teaching beginners is I do find like across all my classes, if they're new and they can't get it right the first time, they're like, oh my God, this is never gonna work, or I just can't, maybe I should drop out. And I'm like, no, you're not gonna get it for like 8 more weeks. It's gonna be like a hot mess. Like, and that's normal.
And that's
you will.
And I think that's right. I think that's the hard part of adult anything.
Yes, totally.
You know,
they just want to be good the first time.
We're just good the first time, and our little selves, whose like experience in these situations was probably like noticing what everyone notices about them, you know, like comes out like, don't make fun of me, you know, and then, you know, there's that like, no, we're adults now. There's no there's no nothing. But I mean, but it's an experience. You kind of can't do it until you experience.
Absolutely.
And if you're like me too, like you kind of like, sometimes as a beginner, you like reside yourself like, I'm just gonna be like, you know, get this part. And you kind of are like,
I mean, that's what I would say in class sometimes. Like, if you just only get 10% of this, it's a great starting point. Next week we'll work on getting up to 20%. Like, you don't have to have the whole thing.
You don't. But what I think, like, for myself, I didn't actually think I would become an actual better dancer. And I've become actually better. And each time now I talk to Andrea, like I like kind of set little different goals for myself. But in the beginning, like the goal was just to like stick with it. You know, just like keep going. I never had anticipated to be like, oh, hello, leg. You move, you know, or like, maybe I had resided myself that I would never, you know, get a turn, you know, and I'm still kind of don't.
The turns are hard. They take a long time.
But I now have a feeling that I might get it. And that is crazy. It's a seed of confidence, but again, it's so healing because you start to recognize in the rest of your life of the places that you have resided yourself to not get better.
That's deep.
You know, and then you're like, wait a minute, maybe I just have to give myself a shot.
Yes.
And that's where I feel like this whole experience is so much bigger than the dance.
Yes, totally. And that's one of, I think, the takeaways. You just got to give yourself a shot. But also, I just want to say, I think like in all of this, I recognize, I think one of the lessons and takeaways is that like when we heal ourselves, and this doesn't have to just be for dance, because I recognize some people watching this are not interested in taking dance class, and that's fine. There's lots of ways to heal. But I think that when we heal ourselves, it heals other people.
I do.
And when you got on that stage, I don't think that was your goal. Your goal was just to express yourself, and it was healing for you.
My goal was not to suck.
Was not to suck. But also to be in the moment and feel. And you did, and in that feeling and the honesty and the vulnerability, people were deeply moved.
And exactly, I do. It was that like very tangible feeling of exactly that. If you heal yourself, it does translate.
Yeah, absolutely. So go heal yourself.
Go heal yourself.
You'll heal other people.
I know. And then I'm gonna plug the studio for a minute because I am somebody who's been in many communities, and I always think it's so important to find a community that fits you. But one of the things that I do think is special is most dance studios like have youth classes and then some adult classes. I would say that a lot of dance studios are focused on youth. Which, nothing wrong with that. It's great. There is something special that we are all like, it's this adult space. And I've never walked into a class in which some sort of compassion or support or excitement or hug, like it is a space where I think just naturally holds our, space for us to be who we are. So I'm just gonna plug that just a little bit because I didn't think about it. I have 4 kids. So just to give you a little thing, I didn't think about it that it's neat to come into some place where I don't feel like I feel like it is for me.
Yeah.
You know, and have a dance recital in which, you know, it's us. Like, it was really neat.
Yeah.
And we really looked, everyone looked really good. We did. You know?
I love how surprised we are.
I know, we actually looked really good. No, but, you know, again, I know Andrea enough to know a lot of her vision, but I think we're all just catching on to, no, showcases are really not just important for the dancers and so we can support dancers, but for the audience.
Yeah.
I mean, every single time someone else did a dance, like you watch Andrew do a dance, we had another solo, we have belly dance, we have, you know, hula hoop, like all this stuff. Every single time you saw something, you're like, oh, like you received too.
Yeah.
And it's just,
absolutely. And I think I picked the title of the showcase, Imagine, just because I love that word and that thought. I wanted people to watch and just to imagine, like literally, like there were people up there who performed with us, your mom being one of them, who's in her 70s.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think a lot of people don't realize that's a possibility. Like you can dance into your 70s, and we have many people at the studio who are in their 70s taking yoga or Pilates or dance classes. And it's like imagining, you know, you see it and then imagine for your own life, what am I capable of? And like you said a few minutes ago, like what have you decided as an adult that, oh, I can't do or I'm not good at? And then challenging that, like seeing other people challenging that belief, and then taking it into your own life and challenging yourself. What is not true? What can I actually do?
Right. And especially in the body movement world, I think we almost are told we can't do more, you know, and then you're like, wait a minute, that's not true.
It's not.
And something I tell my mom all the time when she'll, you know, everyone has their stuff, but I'm like, Mom, how cool is it that your grandkids get to see, you know, you in your 70s performing?
So
like, this
cool.
is so cool. You're the coolest grandma in the world, you know?
And I sounded so Italian from New Jersey. We said, Ma.
You know, but it's almost, again, I feel like that's part of the healing as the group.
Yeah.
Is reminding one another that you're an inspiration by coming in.
Yes. Just by being here.
Just by being
present and trying, it's inspiring.
Yeah. And again, when we were kids, I think there was always comparison and perfection. And now as adults, it's like support and keep going.
Yeah.
And like, it's just like, you know, and I do think that, I mean, I think it's what's needed right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a good conversation. We'll have more to come. All right. Bye.